Everyone at the hangar ignored the quiet black teen wiping grease off a billionaire's private jet until the CEO himself stormed in, shouting about a delayed flight. But when his eyes landed on the necklace around the boy's neck, silver pilot wings glinting under the lights, he stopped cold. Something changed in his face. He whispered a name nobody expected. And what happened next left the entire airport frozen in silence. You will not believe who this teen really was. Cue music rise. Before we start, like this video and comment where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories. Now let's begin. It was just past dawn at a private airstrip in Houston. The sun had barely touched the runway, but 17-year-old Malik Dorsey was already hard at work, a wrench in one hand and a rag in the other. His uniform was faded and 2 sizes too big, the sleeves rolled clumsily at the elbows. His sneakers were scuffed, soles barely holding together. Grease streaked his cheek like war paint. But there was something calm, almost noble about how he moved, focused and careful. He was not supposed to be there. Officially, he was only an intern, allowed to observe but never touch. But this morning, the lead mechanic was out sick, and a senior tech had whispered, "If you know what you are doing, go ahead. Nobody needs to know." So Malik did. He had spent the last hour inspecting the twin-engine Learjet belonging to Carlton Maddox, the powerful CEO of Stratosphere Holdings, a man worth over $500 million. Everyone said Carlton was ruthless, impatient, and allergic to delays. If the plane was not perfect, heads would roll. But Malik worked with quiet precision, adjusting valves, checking hydraulics, tightening bolts. Every movement he made showed a kind of secret knowledge, a depth of understanding that felt almost out of place for someone his age. As he leaned under the wing, his shirt shifted slightly, revealing a thin silver chain around his neck. At the center of it hung a small but gleaming pilot wing badge. It looked old, worn by time, but polished with care. He wore it not for decoration, but as a reminder, a legacy. Across the tarmac, the hangar door slammed open. "Where is my plane?" barked a voice that turned everyone stiff. Carlton Maddox had arrived, surrounded by assistants, eyes sharp, jaw locked with irritation. He did not notice Malik at first. He barely noticed anyone. He marched straight toward the jet, tapping his Rolex, barking at staff about a delayed meeting in Atlanta. But then, as he turned toward the cockpit and caught a glimpse of movement beneath the wing, his eyes locked onto Malik and onto the glint of that necklace. Carlton stopped mid-step. His breath caught. He stared at the boy like he had seen a ghost. The others kept talking, unaware of the shift in the air. But Carlton took one slow step forward, eyes narrowing. "Where did you get that?" he asked, voice suddenly low. Malik froze. Everyone else did too. Carlton's tone had changed, not angry now, curious, almost afraid. Malik stood slowly, dusting off his hands, looking the man directly in the eye. "It belonged to my father," he said. Carlton's face turned pale. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Then, in a whisper, he said a name no one had heard in years. Darius Dorsey. A gasp escaped one of the older technicians. The entire hangar went silent. And just like that, nothing would ever be the same again. For several seconds, it felt like time had stopped inside the hangar. Everyone stared at Carlton Maddox, the CEO who never showed emotion, now standing frozen in front of a teenage intern. His voice had cracked when he said that name. Darius Dorsey. And the way Malik's expression shifted, something between guarded and stunned, made it clear this was not some misunderstanding. That necklace was not just an accessory. It was a symbol of something deeper, something the CEO recognized. "You knew my father?" Malik asked slowly, wiping the grease from his palms onto his already stained pants. His voice was calm, but there was weight behind his words. Carlton looked like he had seen a ghost. His lips trembled before he nodded. "Knew him?" he echoed, eyes locked on the pilot wings hanging from the chain. "Darius was the best pilot I have ever flown with. He saved my life once, more than once actually." Whispers rippled through the staff. Carlton Maddox, the untouchable billionaire who never flinched, was talking like a man shaken to his core. Malik stood still, face unreadable, as memories flooded Carlton's mind like a storm. 15 years ago, a younger Carlton had been trapped in a spiraling jet over Colorado. Both engines down. Passengers screaming. Most people thought he was lucky to survive. The truth? He survived because of Darius Dorsey, a man who had kept his head when everyone else panicked. A man who pulled that aircraft out of a death spin and landed it on a strip of highway, saving every soul on board. Carlton stepped closer to Malik, studying his face. "You look just like him," he murmured. Same eyes, same quiet confidence. Malik's jaw clenched. "My father died before I turned 3. All I have are stories and this." He lifted the necklace slightly. Carlton's voice dropped even lower. "No, he didn't just die. He was forced out, pushed aside. They blacklisted him. Said he was too bold, too unpredictable. But the truth is he scared them. Because he was better than all of them. And they couldn't handle that." A mechanic dropped a wrench. The clatter echoed loudly in the stillness. No one spoke. Malik looked away for a second, swallowing the sudden lump in his throat. "I never understood why he left aviation. Why nobody talked about him. Why there were no honors. No memorials. Just silence. I started fixing planes because it was the only way I felt close to him." Carlton nodded. "He trained me. And everything I built, this company, these jets, even that hangar, it was all possible because of the foundation your father gave me. But I never knew he had a son." Malik's voice was quiet but steady. "That's because no one ever cared to ask." Carlton stepped back and turned to his assistant. "Clear my schedule." "But sir," the assistant began. Carlton cut him off with a glance. "Clear it. Now." Then he looked back at Malik. "You're not. Just some intern. Not anymore. Come with me." And with that, the doors to a past long buried were thrown wide open, and the path to a future no one expected had just begun. Malik followed Carlton Maddox through the long steel corridors of the hangar, his mind racing with questions he had carried for years. But now everything felt different. Each step echoed like a countdown towards something life-changing. Carlton did not speak as they passed office after office. Every employee they passed moved aside quickly, sensing something unusual in the CEO's expression. Focused, almost reverent. Malik could feel every eye on him, but none of it mattered. His heart pounded for only one reason. He was finally about to get answers. Carlton stopped at a large door at the end of the hallway and tapped a code into the keypad. The door hissed open, revealing a private lounge, more luxurious than anything Malik had ever seen. Glass walls overlooking the runway, leather chairs, polished wood floors, and walls filled with aviation memorabilia. But it was what sat in the center that took Malik's breath away. A framed photo of Darius Dorsey, wearing the same pilot wings Malik had on his necklace, stared back at him from behind the glass. Beneath it was a plaque that read, "The man who saved a billionaire, then disappeared." Carlton walked to the photo and stared at it for a moment before turning. "I had this made years ago. I kept it here in private because I was ashamed. I owed your father everything. But when the industry turned on him, I stayed silent. I did not speak up. I let fear of losing my reputation guide me. That silence cost him his career. It cost you a father." Malik stepped forward slowly, eyes locked on the image, his hands trembled slightly. "I never thought I would see a place that remembered him. All these years, it was like he was erased." Carlton turned, his voice steady. "They tried to erase him, but they failed. Because you are standing right here, carrying his legacy with your own 2 hands." For a long moment, Malik said nothing. The past felt like a heavy fog lifting off his chest, revealing something bigger than grief. Purpose. He looked around the room, taking in every detail. "So, why bring me here? What do you want from me?" Carlton's answer was immediate. "Nothing. I want to give something to you." He reached into a drawer and pulled out a worn leather journal. "Your father's flight log. He gave it to me the day he walked away. I never opened it. I could not, but maybe you should." Malik took it with both hands, the leather warm from Carlton's grip. He opened the first page and saw his father's handwriting, sharp, bold, and full of life. Notes, sketches, emergency procedures, even messages to himself. One line stopped Malik cold. "If Malik ever reads this, know that I loved you more than the sky itself." His knees almost gave out. He gripped the edge of the chair, overwhelmed by the weight of those words. For the first time, he had something real from his father. A connection deeper than stories and shadows. Carlton stepped back, giving him space. "There is more. I want to offer you something your father never got. A path, a place, full training, flight school, and when you are ready, a cockpit." Malik's eyes lifted, stunned. "You want me to be a pilot?" Carlton nodded once. "I do not want you to just be a pilot. I want you to lead the next generation. You fixed a jet that my top engineers could not even diagnose. You carry his instinct, his fire. The sky is not the limit for you. It is only the beginning." Malik stared at him, the journal pressed to his chest. For the first time in his life, someone was not just seeing him. They were seeing his potential. Malik sat alone in the quiet of Carlton Maddox's private lounge, the worn leather journal resting heavily on his lap like a sacred artifact. His fingers traced the edges of the pages as he absorbed every word, every note left behind by his father. The hours melted away, but Malik did not notice. His mind was consumed by memories he had never lived, but now felt intimately real. The pilot wings around his neck suddenly felt heavier, charged with meaning and promise. This was not just a necklace. It was a symbol of legacy, sacrifice, and unyielding strength. When Carlton returned, he found Malik with eyes wide open, a fire burning inside that had been dormant for far too long. The CEO did not say a word, but nodded approvingly, understanding that Malik's journey had truly begun. Days passed. Malik immersed himself in every lesson Carlton arranged. From flight theory to engine mechanics, from survival skills to leadership training. No detail was overlooked. The private jet hangar, once a place of mystery, became his classroom. He stayed late, often the last to leave, driven by a desire to prove not only to Carlton, but also to himself that he belonged here. Each new skill felt like reclaiming a piece of his father's dream, a dream once shattered by doubt and betrayal. But it was not an easy path. The pressure weighed heavily. Many doubted a young black teen from a small town could ever handle the demands of elite aviation. Whispers in hallways, sideways glances, and subtle dismissals tested Malik's resolve. Yet, every time he faced doubt, he touched the pilot wings around his neck and remembered his father's courage. He remembered the jet he fixed without hesitation and the silent promise he made to rise beyond every obstacle. Carlton watched silently but supported Malik in ways no one else could see. He arranged private mentorships, brought in veteran pilots who had respected Malik's instinct from the start, and slowly the tide began to turn. People who had dismissed Malik now looked at him with a mixture of respect and disbelief. He was no longer just a teenager trying to survive. He was a force of nature carving his own path in a world built for others. Then came the day Malik was allowed into the cockpit, not as a passenger, but as the pilot in training. The engines roared beneath him like a wild beast tamed only by his hands. The controls were complex, the sky vast and unending. But Malik felt at home. Every adjustment, every maneuver was guided by instinct and passion. It was as if his father's spirit flew beside him, whispering encouragement in the roar of the wind. Yet, the most powerful moment was yet to come. Carlton arranged for Malik to meet a secret group within the aviation industry, a council of pilots and innovators who shaped the future of flight. These were men and women who had watched Malik's rise with quiet awe. They recognized the spark in him, the rare blend of skill, heart, and determination that could not be taught. The leader of the group, a seasoned pilot named Ella Porter, stepped forward and extended her hand. Malik, you have not only fixed a jet and earned your wings, you have challenged what is possible. We want you to lead a new program that will change aviation forever. Will you accept this responsibility? Malik felt a wave of emotion crash over him. This was more than he had dreamed. It was the culmination of years of struggle, pain, and relentless hope. He looked down at the pilot wings shining against his chest, and then into the eyes of those around him. Yes, Malik said, voice steady and strong. I will not let this opportunity slip away. I will honor my father's legacy and make sure no one ever doubts the power of courage and perseverance. Carlton smiled, pride shining in his eyes. The room seemed to hum with electricity, as if the future itself was being rewritten by Malik's bold step forward. The story of the black teen who fixed a private jet and wore his father's pilot wings was no longer just a tale of hope. It was a testament to the power of dreams, resilience, and the undeniable truth that greatness could come from the most unexpected places. And this was only the beginning.